I want to talk to you about a common important mistake that a lot of couples therapists make when a couple comes in with an affair. Let's say it's over and the person has said they're sorry for it, but obviously the couple are in turmoil, somebody feels betrayed, so common presentation. It's really tempting for a systemically oriented couples therapist who doesn't want to just sort of beat up on the person that had the affair, say you're a bad person, in assessing the relationship, to early on say something like, well, this affair came out of the problems in your relationship. You've been growing apart, you kind of neglected each other, you both co-created some risk factors that led to the affair. So this can sound non-blaming, it can be nicely systemic and sophisticated. And what it does is it lets the person who had the affair off the hook for responsibility for cheating. And it also can lead the cheated on spouse to feel like, well, they're partly responsible for the fact that their spouse had this 2-year-long affair with a good friend of hers, right? That kind of thing. So here is the way I approach this. And this is what I say to people, that the choice to have the affair, the choice to cheat, that is 100% the responsibility of the person who had the affair. 100%. Because nobody can make you, no matter how bad the problems are, take that action. And the analogy I give is you could both share responsibility for really bad arguing, really bad conflict management, yelling and so on. But if somebody chooses to hit their spouse, that's on them. They're 100% responsibility for that action. Nobody makes you hit them. And so the clarity here, I have found very helpful. This sort of, some tension goes out of the room, because if the person who had the affair is coming to therapy, they want to get past this. They almost always feel really guilty about it. And so it's sort of giving them the dignity, if you will, ironically. They made a decision based on the problems they're having in their life of the marriage to go outside the marriage sexually, to break their promises, to lie about it, all the things that are going. And that's on them. That's on them. It's not on the spouse. And then it gives you stuff to work on in the in-between. And the two things you can work on in their relationship now is how they're recovering from this. So sometimes the cheated on spouse is, for understandable reasons, obsessed with what happened, checking up on the other person all the time, looking at their phone all the time, berating them, asking, 100 questions about everything. And the other person that had the affair is just sort of reeling from this, and then withholding some stuff. And so you can work on both of their responsibilities, if you will, for managing the recovery better when you're clear about who's responsible for the acts, okay, for the affairs and for the lies. And then the other thing you can do is to say, and they will almost always agree, that there are other problems in the relationship, right, that have been around for a while, that deserve attention. And so the contract for the therapy then becomes, you're going to help them with the recovery, which is first. And you're going to be looking at how both of them can participate in the recovery, not just the person who had the affair learns 18 different ways to apologize, and then their spouse says, well, that's not good enough, how can I be sure you're not going to do it again? If that just tilts everything in the direction of so the therapy is all about helping the person who was cheated on recover, all about that. Well, that's a piece of it, but that tilts the therapy in a not good direction. It's not in between, it's not relational therapy. Or you sort of said, well, it was a systemic issue and it evolved for both of them, and you kind of, don't really take the affair and the responsibility for the affair adequately. So in summary, I have found in working with many couples where there's an affair, there is this sort of freedom that comes in the room and for the agenda to be utterly crystal clear about who is 100% responsible for the affair. And when you do this kindly, nobody runs out of the room. They know their spouse didn't make them do it. Very clear on that. And then it frees up for work together on the recovery, which is the urgent thing. And then later on, when they've recovered more and they are working on other issues, then maybe they're at a place to look at the risk factors that they co-created in the relationship that were associated with somebody having an affair. So that's an approach that I think can be effective and avoid some of the common traps.